Welcome friends, in this session we discuss Sylow theorem that can be regarded as a partial converse of Lagrange's theorem. Lagrange's theorem tells us that the order of a subgroup of a finite group is a divisor of the order of that group. The converse, however, is false. There are very few theorems which assert the existence of the subgroups of prescribed order in arbitrary finite groups. The most basic and widely used is a classic theorem due to the Norwegian mathematician Sylow. In this session, we state and give two proofs for first part of Sylow theorem. Third proof of the first part of Sylow theorem and second and third parts of Sylow theorem will be discussed in the next session. Theorem 1, Sylow theorem, first part. If P is a prime number and P raised to alpha divides order of G, then G has a subgroup of order P raised to alpha. Before presenting the proof of the theorem, we will engage in a brief number theoretic and combinatorial discussion. The number of ways of picking a subset of k elements from a set of n elements is given by nck is equal to n factorial by k factorial into n minus k factorial. Suppose that n is equal to p raised to alpha m, where p is a prime number such that p raised to r divides m, but p raised to r plus 1 does not divide m. Also let k is equal to p raised to alpha, then nck is equal to p raised to alpha m c p raised to alpha, that is equal to p raised to alpha m factorial by p raised to alpha factorial times p raised to alpha m minus p raised to alpha factorial, that is equal to p raised to alpha m times p raised to alpha m minus 1 etc. p raised to alpha m minus I etc. p raised to alpha m minus p raised to alpha plus 1 by p raised to alpha times p raised to alpha minus 1 etc. p raised to alpha minus I etc. p raised to alpha minus p raised to alpha plus 1. Now we discuss what power of p divides p raised to alpha m c p raised to alpha. Looking at the above expression in the right hand side, we can see that except for the term m in the numerator, the power of p dividing p raised to alpha m minus I is the same as that dividing p raised to alpha minus I. So, all powers of p cancel out except the power which divides m. Thus, noting that p raised to r divides m, but p raised to r plus 1 does not divide m, we have p raised to r divides p raised to alpha m c p raised to alpha, but p raised to r plus 1 does not divide p raised to alpha m c p raised to alpha. First proof of Sylow theorem. Let scriptum be the collection of all subsets of G which have p raised to alpha elements. As the number of ways of picking subsets of p raised to alpha elements from a set of p raised to alpha into m elements is p raised to alpha into m c p raised to alpha, we can say that the collection M has p raised to alpha into m c p raised to alpha elements. We define a relation on collection M as follows. For two elements m1 and m2 in the collection m1 related to m2, if there exists an element G belongs to G such that m1 is equal to m2G. We first prove that this relation is an equivalence relation on the collection M. 1. Reflexive. If M belongs to the collection script M, then M is equal to ME, so that M is related to M. 2. Symmetry. M1 related to M2 in the collection M implies there exists G belongs to G such that M1 is equal to M2G, implies M1 G inverse is equal to M2G into G inverse, implies M1 G inverse is equal to M2G G inverse, implies M1 G inverse is equal to M2E, implies M1 G inverse is equal to M2, implies M2 related to M1. 3. Transitivity. M1 related to M2 and M2 related to M3 implies there exists G and H belongs to G such that M1 is equal to M2G and M2 is equal to M3H, implies M1 is equal to M3H into G, implies M1 is equal to M3 into HG, implies M1 related to M3 as HG belongs to G. Claim. There is at least one equivalence class of elements in the collection M such that the number of elements in this class is not a multiple of p raised to r plus 1. If possible, suppose p raised to r plus 1 is a divisor of the number of elements of each equivalence class. Then p raised to r plus 1 would be a divisor of the number of elements in the collection M. Since collection M has p raised to alpha into M C p raised to alpha elements and p raised to r plus 1 does not divide p raised to alpha into M C p raised to alpha, this is not possible. Hence, the claim is proved. Now, let set M1, M2 etc. Mn be an equivalence class in the collection M where p raised to r plus 1 does not divide n. By our definition of equivalence relation in the collection M, set M1, M2 etc. Mn is equal to Mij such that G belongs to G for each I 1 less than or equal to I less than or equal to n. Let H is equal to collection of all G belongs to G such that M1 G is equal to M1. Claim H is a subgroup of G. To prove the claim, we note that since H is a non-empty subset of the finite group G, it is enough to verify the closure property of the operation. If A and B belong to H, then M1A is equal to M1 and M1B is equal to M1, and hence M1AB is equal to M1A into B, that is equal to M1B is equal to M1. Therefore, AB belongs to H. This verifies the closure property of multiplication and completes the proof of the claim. To get the value of order of H, we consider the following claim. Claim n into order of H is equal to the order of G is equal to p raised to alpha into M. Call this equation 1. Proof of the claim. Consider the map defined by phi from the collection Hg such that G belongs to G to the collection M1, M2 etc. Mn is equal to the collection of all M1G such that G belongs to G defined by phi of Hg is equal to M1G. It can be easily checked that phi is well defined 1, 1 and 2, 2. Therefore, the number of elements of collection Hg such that G belongs to G is equal to n, that is order of G by order of H is equal to n. So, we have n into order of H is equal to order of G is equal to p raised to alpha into M. Hence, the claim is proved. Since p raised to r plus 1 does not divide M and p raised to alpha plus r divides p raised to alpha M is equal to n into order of H, it must follow from equation 1 that p raised to alpha divides order of H. Hence, order of H greater than or equal to p raised to alpha. We call this 2. To prove the reverse inequality, we note that if M1 belongs to M1, then for all H belongs to H, M1H belongs to M1. Thus, M1 has at least order of H distinct elements. Also, being an element in the collection M, M1 is a subset of G containing p raised to alpha elements. Thus, p raised to alpha greater than or equal to order of H, we call it 3. From inequalities 2 and 3, we obtain order of H is equal to p raised to alpha. This shows that G has a subgroup of order p raised to alpha, and this completes the proof of the theorem. Remark: the importance of this proof is that while proving the theorem, we have exhibited a subgroup of G having exactly p raised to alpha elements, namely H. The following corollary is a special case of theorem 1 and is usually known as Sylow theorem. Corollary: if p raised to m divides order of G and p raised to m plus 1 does not divide order of G, then G has a subgroup of order p raised to m. Definition 1: a subgroup of G of order p raised to m where p raised to m divides order of G, but p raised to m plus 1 does not divide order of G is called a p-Sylow subgroup of G. Corollary to theorem 1 asserts that a finite group has p-Sylow subgroup for every prime p dividing its order. Remark 1: let H be a subgroup of G and K a conjugate of H in G. Since order of H is equal to order of K, it follows that if H is a p-Sylow subgroup of G, then so is K. So, we can conclude that conjugate of a p-Sylow subgroup of G is also a p-Sylow subgroup. Remark 2: we have noted that corollary to theorem 1 is a special case of theorem 1. However, we claim that theorem 1 is easily derivable from the corollary. That is, if we know that G possesses a subgroup of order p raised to m, where p raised to m divides order of G, but p raised to m plus 1 does not divide order of G, then we can conclude that G has a subgroup of order p raised to alpha for any alpha such that p raised to alpha divides order of G. We need to prove that if order of G is equal to p raised to m and p raised to alpha divides order of G, then G has a subgroup of order p raised to alpha. We prove this by induction on order of G. If order of G is equal to p, then G itself is the required subgroup, that is, the result is true for n is equal to 1. Assume that the result is true for all groups of order less than that of order of G. If G has a proper subgroup H such that p raised to alpha divides order of H, then by induction hypothesis H has a subgroup T of order p raised to alpha. So, T is the required subgroup of G. Now, assume that p raised to alpha does not divide order of any proper subgroup of G. We have the class equation order of G is equal to Z plus summation order of G by order of normalizer of A, where summation is taken over all A that does not belong to the center of Z. Since p raised to alpha divides order of G and p raised to alpha does not divide order of normalizer of A for any A not in Z, it follows that P divides Z. So, by Cauchy's theorem, there exists B belongs to Z of order P. Now, the cyclic group generated by B has order P and is a normal subgroup of G. Also, p raised to alpha minus 1 divides order of the factor group G over the cyclic group generated by B. So, by the induction hypothesis, G over the cyclic group generated by B has a subgroup H over the cyclic group generated by B of order p raised to alpha minus 1, where H is a subgroup of G. Order of the factor group H over the cyclic group generated by B is equal to p raised to alpha minus 1, implies that order of H is equal to order of the cyclic subgroup generated by B into p raised to alpha minus 1, implies order of H is equal to P into p raised to alpha minus 1 and is equal to p raised to alpha. Thus, G has a subgroup H of order p raised to alpha as required. This result states that any group of order p raised to m, P A prime, has subgroups of order p raised to alpha for any 0 less than or equal to alpha less than or equal to m. Second proof of Sylow's theorem. In view of remark 2 above, to prove theorem 1, it is enough to prove the existence of p Sylow subgroup of G for every prime p dividing the order of G. We prove this by induction on the order of the group G. If the order of the group is 2, the only relevant prime is 2 and the group certainly has a subgroup of order 2, namely itself. Hence, the result is true if order of G is equal to 2. Now, as induction hypothesis, we suppose the result is true for all groups of order less than order of G. From this, we want to show that the result is valid for G. Suppose then that p raised to m divides order of G, but p raised to m plus 1 does not divide order of G, where p is a prime and m greater than or equal to 1. Case 1. If p raised to m divides order of H for some proper subgroup H of G, then by the induction hypothesis H would have a subgroup T of order p raised to m. However, since T is a subgroup of H and H is a subgroup of G, T too is a subgroup of G, but then T would be the required subgroup of order p raised to m. Case 2. Suppose p raised to m does not divide order of H for any proper subgroup H of G. Recall that if A belongs to G, then normalizer of A is a subgroup of G. Moreover, if A does not belong to Z, the center of G, then normalizer of A is a proper subgroup of G. So, by assumption p raised to m does not divide order of normalizer of A for A does not belong to Z. Recall that the class equation of G states that order of G is equal to summation order of G by order of normalizer of A, where this sum runs over one element A in each conjugate class. We separate this sum into two pieces, those A which lie in Z and those which do not. This gives order of G is equal to Z plus summation order of G by order of normalizer of A, where summation is taken over all A that does not belong to the center Z and Z is equal to order of Z. We call it equation 4. Now p raised to m divides order of G and p raised to m does not divide order of normalizer of A for every A belongs to G where A does not belong to Z, implies that p divides order of G by order of normalizer of A for every A belongs to G where A does not belong to Z. Since p raised to m divides order of G, we have that p divides order of G. Also p divides summation order of G by order of normalizer of A where summation is taken over all A that does not belong to center Z. Thus from the class equation 4 it follows that p divides Z. Since p divides Z is equal to order of Z, by Cauchy's theorem Z has an element B not equal to the identity element with order of B is equal to p. Let B is equal to the cyclic group of G generated by B. B is of order p. Moreover, since B belongs to Z, B must be normal in G. Hence, we can form the quotient group G bar equals to G over B. We look at G bar. First of all, its order is order of G by order of B, which is equal to order of G by P. Hence, is certainly less than order of G. Secondly, we have p raised to m minus 1 divides order of G bar, but p raised to m does not divide order of G bar. Thus, by induction hypothesis, G bar has a subgroup P bar of order p raised to m minus 1. Let P is equal to the set of all x belongs to G such that xb belongs to P bar. We call it equation 5. To proceed further, we need the following lemma. Lemma: let phi be a homomorphism of G onto G bar with kernel K. For H bar, a subgroup of G bar, let H is equal to the set of all x belongs to G such that phi of x belongs to H bar. Then H is a subgroup of G. We note that phi from G to G over B defined by phi of x is equal to xb is a homomorphism of G onto G over B. Then by lemma, since P bar is a subgroup of G over B, 5 implies that P is a subgroup of G. Hence, in particular, the restriction of phi is a homomorphism from P onto P bar with kernel B. Hence, P over B is isomorphic to P bar, that is, P bar is isomorphic to P over B. Thus, p raised to m minus 1 is equal to order of P bar, that is equal to order of P by order of B, that is equal to order of P by P. This results in order of P is equal to p raised to m. Therefore, P is the required p-silo subgroup of G. Hence, in any case, G has a subgroup of order p raised to m. This completes the induction and so proves the theorem. Remark: the importance of the second proof is that we can directly prove that if p raised to alpha divides order of G, then G has a subgroup of order p raised to alpha without first passing to the existence of a p-silo subgroup. Now, let us conclude this session. In this session, we have obtained two proofs for Seiloth's theorem. We will consider a third proof of the same theorem in the next session, where we will discuss some applications of the theorem. Before we conclude, please try to answer the following questions. Give the order of a 3-silo subgroup of a group of order 54. Prove that any two p-silo subgroups of a finite group are conjugate. If a group of order p raised to n contains exactly one subgroup each of order p, p square etc. p raised to n minus 1, show that G is cyclic. If p is a p-silo subgroup of G, prove that normalizer of p is equal to p. Hope you enjoyed this session. See you next time. Until then, goodbye.